Hi again, everyone. I'm Sean Kelley, and welcome to the Gator Tales podcast with Sean Kelley. This is episode number 55, and this episode wraps up the calendar year of 2025. Campus has gone quiet, final exams and graduation have passed, but it's been very busy with Gators athletics. 2 new big head coaching hires here in the last month. First, of course, in football. Jon Sumrall is the new head football coach of the Gators. He joins us from Tulane University, where the Green Wave has wrapped up a conference championship and are competing in the college football playoff. And then on December the 5th, Gators soccer found its new leader. Nick Zimmerman was hired. Zimmerman comes to the Gators from Mississippi State, where in just one season as head coach, he led Mississippi State to the NCAA tournament, had 3 top 10 wins during the course of the season, and he's coming home too. The Tampa native played collegiate soccer at James Madison, then went on to a pro career. He now will lead the Gators into next season. So on this episode, we want you to get to know those 2 men a little bit more. First, with football, I had the unique opportunity to sit down with Jon Sumrall, Urban Meyer, and Steve Spurrier for a roundtable or fireside chat discussion on the day that Jon Sumrall was introduced in Gainesville. We've taken the audio from that interview, which is available on the YouTube channel and at floridagators.com, to package it into this podcast in just a new way to consume here. And then Nick Zimmerman sat down with our own Ryan Urquhart for his first one-on-one interview in orange and blue. So visits with Jon Sumrall and Nick Zimmerman on this Gator Tales podcast with Sean Kelley. The Gator Tales podcast with Sean Kelley is presented by UF Health. UF Health has locations throughout Florida, including Gainesville, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Leesburg, and the Villages, and we're growing. Compassionate care and world-class outcomes. That's our game plan. Visit ufhealth.org to learn more. And now, the podcast designed specifically for the congregation. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's a very exclusive conversation here from inside the Heavener Training Facility. And on the indoor practice field, we've gathered some luminaries now that you all will know either soon or you've known for decades, as a matter of fact. I'm Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators. And of course, to my left, 2 college football Hall of Famers, 2 members of the University of Florida Ring of Honor, head coaches Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier, and now immediately to my left, the newest football coach of the University of Florida, Jon Sumrall. Gentlemen, there are a lot of football wins amongst the 4 of us, of which I have 0. But it's great to get you all 3 together. And Jon, I'll start with you. This is day 1 for you at the University of Florida. How much of this has seemed real? How much of this has started to sink in a little bit as to what your new role is?
It's sinking in. Today it's helped a lot to come to a realization that this is my future, and I could not be more excited. I've said this a bunch today. I feel like I'm pinching myself, that like I'm not dreaming. I get to be the head football coach at the University of Florida, and I feel so honored and privileged, and to be able to be around greats like Coach Spurrier and Coach Meyer.
Steve, do you remember your first day?
My first day here at
Yes.
Florida, the announcement,
Yes.
yeah, sure, I remember it. It was a little different than today. I came in and I wanted to get University of Miami back on the schedule. I was trying to talk real tough and mean, you know, and they were one of the best teams in the nation then, they and FSU. So we challenged them to get back on the schedule. And I remember at the press conference, I said, back then, if you played them outside the United States, like in Hawaii or somewhere, you could play an extra game. I said, we'll play them down in the Bahamas. Wouldn't that be neat? And of course, none of that came to pass, but it made me sound like we wanted to play Miami. So anyway, later, our athletic director came to me and said, Steve, you don't need to play Miami. I said, you're right. We played 7 SEC games, and FSU, we got enough on the schedule. You're right.
Urban, what about your first day here?
Yeah, I think John's wearing my tie that I wore. They gave me an orange tie. You know, I think the story is well documented back then is that, you know, I coached up north my entire career, and Coach Spurrier had the fun and gun, and everybody wanted to be the coach at Florida when Steve Spurrier was here. And so I remember I was recruiting, and I was in Lake City on my way to Tampa, and I saw that it said Gainesville, the swamp, the next 3 exits. I pulled off, walked in because it's open, you can walk right. I was standing on the 50-yard line. I called Shelly and I said, "You will not believe where I'm at." She said, "Where?" And I said, "The swamp, where Steve Spurrier coached." He was still coaching at the time. But that was my first time ever here, and a little bit like Jon, it's almost you pinch yourself. This is, if not the best job in the country, it's certainly one of the top 2 or 3.
No doubt. Both of you were involved in the search for the next head football coach at the University of Florida. Jon, it had to be a little bit of a power play or a flex on Florida's part to have 2 Hall of Famers trying to convince you that you should be the next. How did that feel, or what were those conversations like?
Well, you get a phone call from Coach Meyer or Coach Spurrier as a football coach. You're not talking to God, but like you're getting pretty close. And so for me, I got off the phone and I immediately called my wife, the first conversation I had with Coach Meyer. And I said, I just talked to Urban Meyer. I'm like, I've come a long way. And so it's surreal. It is. And to be able to, sit in the chair and maybe have the role that they've once held, man, it is special to me.
Gentlemen, what did you want Jon to know about this place, about this job? It's unique, and both of you have also been head coaches at other institutions. There's something about Florida, and sometimes that's a challenging thing, and sometimes that's obviously a great resource. What did you want him to know about what he's about to start to do?
I kind of went down the checklist. I think whenever you're looking, Coach Spurrier, myself, and now Coach Sumrall has been there, where you start getting people calling you about this and this, and then you start checking things off. Most importantly, is there a talent base within reach? Because at the end of the day, you can be Newt Rockne if you don't have good players. And plus, you shouldn't have to go far. When I've worked at some places, you have to go across the country to get players. That's really hard. It's taxing on you because you're in a plane all the time, and plus it's hard for those families to come show up. So number one, players within a 3-hour radius, check. Now they have the best facilities in the country, check. Elite academics, which I know people don't talk about that much anymore. I think that's still critical because you want to be surrounded by elite, everything you do. And then I really like Scott Strickland. I've gotten to know him well over the last year. He wants to win. He can win. Look at our basketball program, lifted the trophy, and he wanted to win in the worst way. And so I shared that with Coach Sumrall, and you check all the boxes, and I think he agreed.
Mm-hmm. Jon, this is a family, and I've learned this over the last couple of years, and family has leaders, and we see both of these gentlemen here as leaders of our family in a lot of ways, and especially, and of course, in the sport of football. What did you want to hear from them? What did you need to hear or learn about them as an extension of us as Gators?
Yeah, the fan base is passionate, and they want to win. And that's the way I'm wired. I'm very passionate, and I want to win. It's not real complicated. And hearing their vision about what could be and what they've experienced in their time when they were here and what they've seen this place do really sort of ignited even a bigger fire within me that this is a job I wanted to take on, and this is what I wanted to do next.
How do you use them as a resource at this point? You mentioned that during your introductory press conference that, what did you say, phone a friend?
Yeah.
2 pretty good phone calls here.
Well, they might have done the wrong thing by giving me their numbers and calling me, because I'm going to reach out. And I feel very grateful that they've both extended whatever you need. When we can help, how can we help? That means the world to me, because when you have 2 guys like this that have done it at the highest level at this place, man, how cool is that to be able to have them at your disposal and at your access to maybe pick their brain about things that we should do to help elevate our brand and get our football program where we want it to be.
This is different now. You're coaching in this era. Coach, your era overlapped. What's different about coaching football at this level then as opposed to now? And I'll let all 3 of you try and help me figure that out.
I don't think there's anything that much different. You got 11 guys. You're going to try to teach them how to play the game the very best you can, tough and smart and all these things. And then you try to play better than the other guy. And the coaches and the players and everybody involved, you try to do it the whole game and you win. I coached at Duke, and when I came here, I coached the same way, and you'll coach the same way here, no matter if Troy or wherever. And you probably same way, Bowling Green one year,
Sure.
and you coach the same way, right?
I think the biggest differences, and this is what was so appealing about Coach, was that when I had the conversation with him, we talked about strength coach, we talked about off-season program, we talked about Tuesday practice, we talked about inside drill, and it was kind of refreshing to me that, you know, I didn't, not one time did I hear the word NIL or transfer. You know, I'm actually exhausted hearing that. Because at the end of the day, you better line up and move that ball against the team you're playing. You better stop the team you're playing. And I got news. That's other stuff's important. I'm glad you got a GM that'll help you with that, because you got to focus on putting your hand down on the ground and getting a first down when it's time. And that's what it came through the phone as I was talking to him, and it was refreshing to me.
Yeah, to their point, the game is still the game. And we may have a lot of external factors in regards to NIL, the transfer portal, et cetera, that have maybe changed how you build your team in regards to the roster. But how you coach the team is still coaching. And tough teams win. Smart teams win. Disciplined teams win. Physical teams win. That correlates from when Coach Spurrier was head coach here to Coach Meyer to now. Those things win.
You had mentioned that the sign in your current office in New Orleans says coach the team. I kind of see a through line through the three of you guys that you all kind of subscribe to that primary theory. Is that the case? And did you all have that in your DNA, or was that learned along the way?
It's amazing. It's the job pulls you away from your team, probably more now than ever. You know, you never had to recruit. When Coach Spurrier and I were going at it, you weren't recruiting your players to come back, because if they transferred, they couldn't. So I think that's an added element that I hear my colleagues talk about. You know, recruit your team, recruit your players. I'm going, where will they go? You know, we didn't have that problem. So I think that's a big difference. That, you know, at the end of the day, you got to have a great roster, but we never had to recruit our players to stay with us.
Yeah, it is so much different. You know, you recruit a kid, man, hey, we got this guy, man. Hey, he's coming with us. You got him for 4 years. Now you may have him 1 year. So transfer portal and all that, it's different. We didn't have to mess with it. You will deal with it all the time. And I guess you do the best you can. That's all you can do, and try to give the right money to the right guys. But that's involved also, yeah.
Urban Meyer and I just had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. He is about to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Urban, you talked about the power of a staff and how important your coordinators and assistants and support staff was during your career. Coach Spurrier, we've talked about that for you on a number of different occasions at your different stops throughout the journey. Jon, this is going to be a big question for you coming up. What are you looking to do with regard to coordinators and staff, and what advice could they perhaps help you with along the way?
Yeah, well, Coach Meyer and I have talked about it, you know, and I think there's such an important component to recognizing where you are, and each place is different. And so the staff I was able to build at Troy and the staff I've been able to build at Tulane, you're able to put a different type of staff together at a place like the University of Florida. And your job is to do the best you can for the place you're at. And so for me, it always starts when I walk into a new program that I'm taking on with who's here, who may fit, who should be considered to still be a part of what we're going to do moving forward. Then you have to add pieces, and some of those pieces may be guys I've got relationships with. Some may be people that I don't know as well that can help us be the best we can be for the University of Florida. And it's about putting together the absolute best staff we can to serve, develop, and coach our football team.
Anything to add?
Yeah, when I got hired at Florida, my dream was to put together the all-star staff, because at Utah I couldn't hire them, you know. And so in my assistant coaching career, I'd come across a great recruiter, great coach. I'd work with someone at Notre Dame, and then I had them all set. And I said, you're going to get a phone call, and I can't tell you where it's going to be because I didn't want people to know where I was going. And the good thing about Florida, they want to be here. And you can hire the best coaching staff in America, and you should have the best coaching staff in America right here. Mm-hmm. The problem is, Jon, is when you start winning, they leave and become head coaches, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, that can be exhausting, but it speaks to the legacy, right? Like we hear about coaching trees. The two of you have coaching trees. There are Urban Meyer guys. There are Steve Spurrier guys. You come off of a particular tree yourself, and now you're finding, after having been a head coach now, that your former assistants, there'll be a Jon Sumrall tree at some point. That legacy is it top of mind when you're putting together a staff like this? Because, like you said, Urban, you can hire the best guys, but you have to know that you can only have them for so long if they're the type of guy you want.
Yeah, you're looking to, I think, put great people in place that are wired right. They're going to thrive in this environment. If they thrive in this environment, they are going to have opportunities to move on. And I think as a head coach, if you're able to hire people to become a head coach after they leave your program, that's a tribute to the job you've done, like these guys have done. They've got guys that moved on and became head coaches. That means you're doing a great job hiring the right people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All the success. Surely there was a funny misstep along the way as the head coach of the Gators, right?
It's lots of missteps.
Was there one that you would share with Jon as maybe this was a funny misstep that maybe it was funny, but maybe you don't want to have that same misstep along?
I don't know a misstep. I tell you one of my good steps. I hired Dwayne Dixon. He'd never coached in his life. He played wide receiver here, and he was working in the Office of Student Life. He came in my office and said, "Coach, I'd like to coach here, be the receiver coach." I said, "You know what? You got the job." I said, "Can you live on $28,000?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Right, you got it." That was his first year salary. We didn't have much back then. Dwayne coached, 40 years or something, 35, 40 years. But Dwayne Dixon was one of my favorite coaches because he played here and he wanted to coach, and he was a great coach. Wide receiver coach. I don't know how many All-Americans we had. I think he had about 7 or 8 in the 12 years we were here.
Yeah. Urban, was there something along the way that you had to learn the hard way maybe about this job?
I can't think off the top of my head.
See, it's so unfair that you guys just had success this whole time. You hear this, Jon? That means you're not allowed to have any missteps along the way.
I'm going to try.
When it comes to finding your personality, how do you do that? And whether it's at Florida or anywhere else as a coach, is there who you are as a person and a coach? Gators fans will learn that about you here in short order. They know that about these two gentlemen here. Where does where's a coaching personality come from, guys?
I'll tell you this, here's a little bit of advice because we got Mr. Florida sitting right next to us. When you think of Florida football, Steve Spurrier, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, obviously a great coach, become a great friend of mine, but you're going to feel, I would always say the visor shadow is always around. No. And you try to live up, because if you really study Florida football before coach, there's no championships. Mm-hmm. I walked in the stadium one day and I said, wait a minute now. You know, you go to some other stadiums, it's 1906 and all that. It was 1991 when a guy named Steve Spurrier won the first, I think that was the first SEC. I think he won it.
We won one the year before, but it wasn't recognized because of something that happened 5 years earlier or something. But we actually won the first one in 90 also.
But my advice would be yourself.
That's right.
Because you're gonna feel it. I mean, there's a contingency out there that this is the way they used to do it. You got to do it your way. And it took me a minute, because there's a large contingency, and it's deserved with Coach Spurrier, but he's a great resource as well.
Yeah, when I got here, they, of course, had not won much before, so the fans were like, "We're going to give you 2 or 3 years to get this going." And I said, "I'm going to tell you something. We got the players here right now. They just need somebody to tell them that we're good enough to win the SEC." And, of course, I told them that all preseason, and we went out and won it that first year because the talent was here, just the mental part, and I like what Coach said. We're going to win. We're going to win. And the mindset has to be that. It's not, well, we'll wait a year or two. We got to build this up, blah, blah, blah. And that's what I like about Jon's attitude. We're going to try our best to win it next year.
Yeah, your ears did perk up when he said that in the press conference. Jon, what about your personality? And I guess I'm more speaking to your coaching personality. Do you want Florida fans to know going into this?
Yeah, I'm unapologetically myself, so I'm trying to say a word I can't pronounce today. But what I'll tell you is I don't have any ability to be Coach Spurrier or to be Coach Meyer. I'm me, and I'm going to give you the very best version of myself every day. And there's a lot I can learn from these guys and glean from their experiences and maybe what they've done here. But I can't pretend to be anyone other than who I am. And that's bring it every day, give our guys everything I got every day to help them become their best.
When it comes to that building across the parking lot from where we're sitting now, the Swamp, Urban, when you and I talked last, you told me, I think it was against, I can't remember who your first home opponent was. Tennessee, that's right.
First SEC. Wyoming was the first home game, but that was nothing compared to when you see an SEC team on the other side.
Correct. And you vividly recalled the moment that you came out of the South Tunnel and got settled on the sideline. Coach Spurrier, I'm curious as to what those first moments for you were like in the Swamp. I mean, this is a building that you put the name on, for crying out loud. And now, Jon, after being a player here on the other side of it, you'll have the full force of the Swamp behind you.
Well, the first time I went out there, I'm the play caller, so I'm thinking about the play. I'm going to give Shane Matthews. But before the game, we played Oklahoma State, and they played the defense according to your formation. So I told Shane, we're going to know every coverage they're in. So I'll give you a good play for the formation. And you're going to have a field day today. He said, it was the first start he'd ever had. And he believed me. He was going to have a field day. Well, he did. He threw for about 330, and we scored 50 points against Oklahoma State because he said, hell, everybody's wide open. All I got to do is do my assignment, and away we go. Now, it wasn't that easy every game after that. The next week, we fortunately beat Alabama at Alabama. So then the mental part of, hey, we can do this thing. And that team went on and won the SEC, as did a whole bunch of others. Yeah.
You go back to that Tennessee game. I mean, to this day, you still remember that.
Yeah, I just remember the size of I'm an offensive coach too, and I remember seeing that defensive line, and I actually grabbed my offensive line coach and I said, how in the hell are you going to block those guys? I've never seen bigger
guys. They were big.
I mean, that's what, there's a lot of greatness across this country. There's nothing like the SEC as far as defensive fronts, and that's what shocked me. And we came here running a spread offense without a tight end and without a fullback, and we learned after about game 4, we flipped Billy Lasco, a linebacker, over to play fullback because you need a little help on the edges because they're too fast.
Yep.
But you know that. You played in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You've played in this conference. You've also served on coaching staffs in this conference. Does that help serve you now as a head coach in this situation?
I think you draw from that experience for sure. And, to Coach Meyer's point, the up front, the line of scrimmage play in this league, it's different. It's where it's different than anywhere else in college football is the athletes in the line of scrimmage, the physicality, the size, the movement patterns. You watch those guys play and you're like, how do we block those guys? And you have to be creative. It's not going to be always, hey, I've got a better player than you all the time. You got to figure out a way to maybe be unique and be different.
Jon, what's first for you?
Yeah, staff and players. Really simple. I think going back to humans over hardware, making sure we have the best staff in place and we do the best job building this roster so we have a chance to be successful immediately. We want to win long term. I also want to win in 2026 too. And so how quickly can we put ourselves in a position to be really good next year?
Yeah. Urban, you cover the sport in its present day for Fox. You have maybe a better, view of the landscape than all four of us because we're siloed in some ways. As far as where college football is right now, and Jon talks about humans over hardware and this process, the calendar is a whole nother issue. We could do a whole nother show on that. But with regard to where Florida's place is and what you saw in Jon Sumrall as you were studying him over the last several weeks, where do you find the fit and where do you see the necessities of the job at Florida here in the coming days?
Well, I've always been a firm believer. I grew up in the Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler era, and there was always been a line of scrimmage mentality. And, we were the spread offense, but we were really an I formation team running from spread sets. We were going to line up and run off the line of scrimmage and then throw the ball second. That was a little different than what was here before with Coach Spurrier. So it took the fans a little bit, but we scored a lot of points and just different ways of doing it. Going back to the first conversation I had with Jon, that you want to win, that's right where you're going to win. If that team attacks, if you get a right strength coach that's going to train these players, develop these players, because yes, NIL, but this should be a freshman-based high school team with like Ohio State does. You cherry pick a little bit where you need it, but you develop them right there. And then you come out here in spring practice, develop them more, and then you put them through the off-season program. And my dream was for that team to show up in August. A chiseled, great-looking team in great shape. And you better have the right strength staff to do that. That's to me, that's even as more important or more important than the two coordinators, what you got going in that weight room.
Steve, is there a way that you can support Jon here in the early going that maybe none of us know about it?
Oh, just being positive. Our fan base is a little negative right now, and they're hung up on we didn't hire the lane train, but he's going to LSU. We don't need to worry about him now. But I think we got the best guy right here. That's my message to the Gators. We got the best guy we could have hired.
Jon, you don't seem fazed by any of that noise.
No.
What would you want the Gators, all of us collectively, the family that you're now a part of, to know about you in these coming days, and how best can we support your efforts?
Yeah, I said this in my opening remarks with the media. I'm built for this. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. And I had options. I chose Florida. This is where I wanted to be. And I think that means something. This is where me and my wife, we sat down and evaluated what all was available to us. Florida kept getting our attention because this is where we felt like we wanted to make home and build the championship program. And so I'd say that. And I'd also say it takes all of us to be successful. It's hard to win football games. It's not easy. And we need everybody on the same page, pulling the same direction. And I'm a Florida Gator, and I can't wait to partner with everybody.
We are glad you're a Florida Gator, too. And I wish I had about 3 more hours.
Sean, let me say a
Yes,
word.
sir.
I want to give a compliment and a shout out to Scott Strickland. He could have gone a bunch of places. We found that out later, and they had that quickly. And Scott did, over the last 3 or 4 days, a lot of stuff's going on all over the SEC. And Scott and his team got on the ball and got him with us, right?
That's right.
That's the way it happened.
Especially after Marion and Auburn growl.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that would come out.
Just did.
Just did. I think we won here today, boys.
Yeah, we won.
Next time we visit, I'm just going to get a big dry erase board and let you all just start carving up plays.
That'd be more fun.
That'd be a great
lot more fun.
conversation.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier, Jon Sumrall. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Sean.
How you doing, Gator Nation? I'm Ryan Urquhart, joined by the 4th head coach of Florida soccer, Nick Zimmerman. Nick, appreciate you stopping by.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Well, this is a special opportunity for you. You're a Tampa native, 2 hours down the road. Wharton High School, I know there was some pull to go to Jesuit, but how cool is it to come back to the state of Florida and be the head coach here?
That means the world to me. It means the world to me, to my family, the amount of people that have reached out from Tampa to congratulate me, but also, to see where we are now, how far I've come, but also the journey that's led me back here in front of Gator Nation is pretty special.
You mentioned in your opening press conference that this is a dream job. Yeah. Tell me about the other aspects of this job that drew you here.
Yeah, Florida's elite in everything it does, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, the community, the alumni. It's just a special, special place, and couldn't be more excited and blessed for this opportunity.
It's August of 2026. Gators, they take the field. What can Florida fans expect from a style, and what can they expect to see out on the pitch?
Yeah, we're going to be an attack-minded team. We want to dominate the ball. When we don't have it, we want to be relentless in working to win it back. We're going to be a counter-pressing team at our DNA. There's going to be a clear identity, and you're going to see a team that's going to compete. And when they put on that jersey, it's really, really going to mean something, not just for them, the people that have come before, and then all that will continue to come in years to come. So.
You mentioned the people that have come before. Of course, Gator fans know all the special names that have come through this program. Have you been able to connect with any?
So Coach Becky had reached out to me right away, and we're trying to connect this week. It's been obviously craziness, as you can imagine, just trying to meet the players, talk to the recruits. But, looking forward to meeting with her again. She's a good friend of mine. She's been great throughout this process, and kind of pick her brain about how we can continue to bring in the alumni and the Abby Wambachs and Heather Mitz and, Danielle Fotopoulos and those so many that have come before. I've blown up in my DMs and Instagram and welcoming me, how excited they are to support, but also, this new era, if you will, of Gator soccer.
It's a big time in your life coming not just to Florida, but also got married this past summer. How has having your wife by your side helped you through this whole journey?
Yeah, I mean, she's a rock. She's been incredible. She understands the late hours, when I leave early and come home late. She's been unbelievable and incredible. And I'm so blessed. We have a baby girl coming in February, and I'll be a girl dad. So it was never a doubt. It was always going to be a girl, So we actually did a gender reveal, and it was me kicking a soccer ball. And, I kicked it, and I don't think it could have been any more pink. So at that moment, I said, here we are, and we're off and running. But, we can't wait to raise her in this unbelievable community and this special, special place.
Well, back in your playing days, you were a standout at James Madison, and then, of course, you went and played professionally in MLS. How did those experiences serve you in your coaching career?
Yeah, well, I appreciate whoever paid you to tell you I was a standout, so thank you. But, no, I mean, it was, people ask me, what's my coaching style? And I was fortunate to play at the highest level. Played in MLS, played in NASL, USL, played for the youth national team. So I feel like I have the ability to really develop relationships with players and these high elite athletes. That the mentality side of it, I've been through traveling, I've been through not traveling, I've been through being injured, I've been through starting, I've been through the successes and the challenges that have come along. And so navigating these young student athletes is something that I really, really enjoy. And it's a passion of mine. When I got hurt, I kind of figured out what's my why, and here we are now many, many years later, and I'm completely in the right spot. This is where I belong, in coaching and helping mentor. And, I wake up every day extremely blessed and grateful to have the opportunity to influence these young athletes and, try and help shape them holistically. So when they leave the University of Florida, wherever they go, whether it's professional, whether it's in the community, they have all the tools necessary to be successful.
You mentioned the relationships. You're known as a relentless recruiter. Let's pretend like I got any soccer talent. This is our first meeting, right? Pitch me coming to the University of Florida and playing soccer.
Do you want them to build a statue of you and be revered forever?
Sounds good to me.
But I think it's more than that, right? I think it's what do they want, right? What are you actually looking for? And so many times in recruiting, it's so many coaches just trying to constantly, this is Florida, this is this is that, instead of really understanding, what do you want? What do you ultimately want from this experience? Because James Madison was, some of my best times in my life. I met unbelievable friends, memories. When I got married, I had my college roommates attend. So ultimately, this is something that is really, really special. And it's our jobs as coaches, as mentors, as people in their lives. How can we help shape them? And so it's really about, what do they want? If they want to come and be a part of a staff that's going to develop them holistically, spiritually, mentally, physically, then we feel that there's no better place in the country. If it's other things that motivate you, academics, top 10 institution here at the University of Florida. It checks so many boxes, and the alumni, the Tim Tebows, the Olympians that come through here. This is an elite organization, and I don't have to say too much. It's also 50 right now and sunny in December. So, Florida's not too bad.
Only need a light jacket when you come.
Yeah, just a light. And I'm a baby when it comes to cold. So, this is what I got. And I'll tell you, I feel good.
I tell you what, you'll fit right in then, because that makes two of us. You mentioned the elite standard at Florida. Of course, there's a lot of great head coaches and a lot of great coaches on staff here. How do you want to pull on their experience to inform you?
Yeah, in my previous institution, we were really, really close as an athletic department with the head coaches. And, when I came here on my, my interview, if you will, that was known, and arriving here, the text messages from all the coaches, if you need anything, let me know. Coach Sumrall knows a good friend of mine, and he said, you two got to sit down because you guys are so similar in your vision and your passion. And, Coach Golden, reached out, and all the chaos that he was going on along with all the other ones. So to have those coaches around and to be able to piggyback ideas off of, or, hey, how did you navigate this? Or, with this new landscape as we continue to evolve, what are you learning, or what are you seeing that you wish you knew earlier on? So it's been incredible. Really, really excited to meet them in person. I feel like all I've been in is my office. So the 3 or 4 days I've been here, but really, really excited to meet them and obviously learn from them every single day.
Everywhere you've been, as a coach, been known for the explosive offenses, whether it was at Columbus State or Mississippi State. What's it going to take to replicate that at Florida?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a die standing kind of guy rather than live kneeling. I'm an attack minded guy. I want to roll the dice. We want to attack. We want to take chances. The way that we play is very high risk, high reward, and I'm not going to have it any other way. So, we've got a great group of young ladies here. It's my job to continue to bring in elite athletes that have the same mindset and the vision, and make sure that we're all in alignment. And so that's what we've been doing here the last 4 or 5 days, if you will, almost like the war room of, the draft day and names and this and that. So, we're certainly, we know the challenge that's ahead, but we also know the expectation. And, we took this job knowing what it can be because of Coach Becky and what she's done in the past. And, we're going to do everything we can to make Gator Nation proud.
You brought along Jonathan Garber on your staff, someone who has head coaching experience in this state. What are some of the traits you like about him?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about someone that's absolutely elite. He's elite in everything that he does. His passion, his vision, his commitment, his work ethic, how he interacts with players, how he drives players, how he can continue to bring out the best in them, develop relationships with them, not just on the surface level, but deeper. That to me is always stood out. And, we did this a little bit together this year at Mississippi State, and it was such a new experience, right? We had graduated so many players, and, where we were through 4 months, we were way further along than we anticipated. And so, coming here, having the spring to really develop with this team, have a clear identity, understand what our standards are is going to be important. And, he's right alongside me. This is him and I doing this together. And, he's got the international ties as well. He speaks Spanish, he speaks Portuguese. So, we had recruited some kids internationally that were coming to Mississippi State. So we're going to lean heavily on those relationships as well, because we want to not just bring the best players here in the United States, but we want to go over the best players, internationally.
And you're facing some of the best players week in and week out in the SEC. You've obviously been a coach in this league for a long time now. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned coaching in the Southeastern Conference?
I mean, for us, it's always a great challenge, because every single week, every team is different. There's different nuances, right? They set up different, right? The style of play is different. The coaching is different. The players are different, right? So for me, I love that. It's like a chess match, right? You're looking at this. How can we do this? Where do we think we'll be exposed? How do we train it so that the players understand when they get in the game, oh, we've trained this. Or, hey, remember, they may do this, this, and this. Oh, yeah, okay, this is how we're going to shift, or this is how we're going to adjust. That, to me, is always the most enjoyable part in terms of the actual football side, the tactics side of it. In every single week, it's a new challenge. So it helps us grow. It helps our players grow cognitively, but also understanding, the reasons of why we're doing things. I think the why is always going to be important as we move forward.
Great resources and facilities at Florida. How can Gator Nation, this fan base, support Gator soccer?
I mean, they already do. I think it's been evident just again with the amount of people that have reached out. There is a yearning, if you will, for Gator soccer to be elite in terms of competing for championships. And so, I want to tell Gator Nation, we're going to work day and night, and then sometimes in the middle of the night, to make sure that not only are we doing everything we can to represent this unbelievable institution, but also we put out a product on the field that not only they're proud of, but they're going to come from near and far to want to be a part of.
Is there anything else we should know about what your tenure is going to look like, and anything you want to get at?
Yeah, I mean, I think just ultimately, how blessed and grateful and honored I am to be wearing these colors and to be tasked with this opportunity to lead these incredible young ladies. It's going to take time, and it's for me, it's about the foundation. It's always about the foundation. It's an organizational phases of demolition, foundation, competitive results, and championships. And as long as we continue to do the right things at our core, our foundation, and who we are as a person and our identity, then we feel very, very confident that we're going to take Florida soccer to where everyone wants it to be and where we envision it to be.
Coach, thank you so much again for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the new job. We're excited to have you.
I appreciate it, blessed and grateful to be here. Go Gators.
So that's a wrap. Episode number 55 of the Gator Tales podcast with Sean Kelley. Big thanks, of course, to our presenting sponsor, UF Health. And, of course, thank you, too, to Ryan Urquhart and Nick Zimmerman Jon Sumrall, Urban Meyer, and Steve Spurrier. Dennis Black and his team helped contribute to our podcast production this week. And of course, Sullivan Bortner and Kevin Camps also deliver for us on the delivery of episode number 55. We wish you the best during this holiday season and the start to the new calendar year. We're back with you in January, and we'll be turning our attention, of course, to the winter sports. Gymnastics will be fully underway at that point. Men's and women's basketball will begin SEC play in early January, too. Until next time, I'm Sean Kelley, the voice of the Gators, and as always, go Gators, and so long for just a while.